There's the small business owner. You know, they're making money, but they're already kind of at max capacity of what they can do. And there's also the learning curve of getting into Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, LinkedIn. It's a whole different ball game to someone who might just be really good at doing manicures and pedicures. The best way to grow a business really is organically. Like, you can spend as much as you want on paid media, but at the end of the day, the paid media is only as good as the money that keeps funding it. Canadians, to me, like coming from Australia, are just so friendly to people that they don't necessarily know. But also I've found that it's kind of like hard sometimes to like crack that layer of friendliness.
It's like surface friendly.
It's like surface friendliness. And Australians aren't surface friendly. It's kind of like, until you're in, you're out.
Oh, interesting. Oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen, I'm so happy to welcome you to a very special edition of Richard Fortin Presents in Suite 16 Studio right here in North Bay with the one and only Scott Murphy.
Thank you, Richard. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm excited. I'm excited for this one because
excited too.
It's undoubtedly going to go off the rails at some point.
Yes. So, hock to our girl.
Yes, let's get right into it.
So how did she get famous, right?
What happened there?
I'm not sure, but I think she was strolling around at like a country music festival in Nashville.
Yes.
With a buddy. And some guy came up to her and is doing those like really candid, like on the street, ask me anything types of content. And I think he asked her something like, how do you make sure you're having a good time in bed or something?
Yeah.
And she went, you just gotta spit on that thing. And from there, I think now she's going to be the next president of the US.
Global fame.
Yeah.
In like a week.
Yeah.
Viral.
Yeah.
The TikTok
And you
effect.
said she's got an agent,
And
right?
she's got an agent. She's moving to LA. She's booking gigs. I mean,
That's like, to do what?
it's amazing. I don't know.
Spit
Being
on that
funny.
thing.
Yeah, maybe. The requests you must be getting.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. So social media is your specialty.
Yes.
You are a social media fixer.
I'm a fixer. I'm a repairer. I'm the guy that someone calls if their Facebook account doesn't work or has been hacked or something. I'm that guy usually.
So tell me about how you got into this business and what you're doing now, like exactly the type of people that love your service and should be calling you for more.
Right. Well, I got into it purely because it was just the opportunity in front of me kind of thing. Like, I went to university, I did marketing. That was, 10 years ago now. And all the tools we were using in university then, we're not really even using anymore. And so a lot of that digital side isn't applicable these days. There's still like the theoretical side and, learning how to look at data and things like that. But that's what kind of got me kick-started in the marketing. And then down the road, I got into also like editing and making videos and short films and that sort of stuff. So getting more in the content side and learning about YouTube, how to push things on YouTube simply. And then when I moved to Canada, I actually wanted to do something completely different. I didn't really want to do marketing stuff. I was looking to get more into production originally. But with production, as you know, it's a roller coaster. And the opportunity that came up actually was something to help out small businesses with improving their online presence. So I jumped at that opportunity because my parents run a small business. I love small business. I also have all the jobs I've ever worked in been solving problems for usually the business owner, whether it's like trying to make a POS system work or trying to make a system more efficient. That's kind of what I would always gravitate towards. So it seemed like a great fit to do that. And that was awesome. I was doing that in North Bay for a few years. And then I realized that there's a bit of a gap in the market, not just here in North Bay, but across the world, where there's the small business owner or the entrepreneur who's got a business that's, they're making money, but they're already kind of at max capacity of what they can do, and they can't it's not feasible to hire another body yet or to hire someone to do marketing. And there's also the learning curve of getting into, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, LinkedIn, websites, SEO. Like, it's a whole different ball game to someone who might just be really good at doing manicures and pedicures, for instance.
Yeah.
So I noticed there's a bit of a gap in the market for that sort of thing. And if you can do it in a way that helps that business succeed, but also it matches their budgets, their needs, then you can have a lot of success there. And I've noticed that that's kind of the lane I've been going towards. And it's been great so far. Like, I've worked with some amazing people. I've worked with some people who, you know, they didn't even have an online presence, and now they're getting like most of their word of mouth through online presence.
That's
like
amazing.
Vehicles and listings and stuff. So
There's so much potential in this field.
yeah.
And so what's also amazing is you can have clients from around the world. That's not a Northern Ontarian accent you have there. You come from a different place. You've gone to many places, from what I understand. You've traveled quite a bit.
True.
So how is your perspective on the world and your travels and where you're coming from to now be in North Bay and possibly, other places as you figure out what comes next? How does that play into like the adaptability of your skill set
Yeah,
in
definitely.
the marketing world we live in today?
Yeah, I think especially when you talk about marketing, or you talk about digital marketing in particular, these days I don't think you need to be locked to a certain area like to work with someone. A lot of my clients I don't see face to face. It's usually through phone calls, it's through emails, it's through video chats, and even like Slack as well. And Slack's a great tool for like workplace communication. So I don't think you need to be anywhere, whereas I think you used to have to be somewhere. Like, even just 5-10 years ago, I think it was very kind of taboo almost to say, oh, I'm not going to be in the workplace. I can work from home. But, as we saw with COVID and as technologies progress, things are getting much better. It becomes much easier to work from a phone or a laptop wherever you are.
And there's no going back. I mean, but there's also something to be said about bumping into people and being in the same space. I think it's actually increased the value of that, ironically.
Yeah. I think it has pros and cons. And the pro is, I think, creatively, in order to have the best creative environment where you want to have great ideas and be really invested in something, you should be working together. Not all the time, but at least in some sort of capacity physically. But I think in terms of 90% of what we actually do, which is on a computer, writing an email, or it's dealing with a task that needs to be done. And, I don't need to watch you do your task. You don't need to watch me do my task. You don't even have time to watch me do my task. It doesn't make sense for me to sit next to you while I do my task.
Yeah.
So I think as long as like the people involved are honest about it and they are dedicated to the project, it can succeed. But there definitely is benefits. If you're with someone for a few hours face to face, you can come up with all sorts of ideas that wouldn't have happened if you were just communicating electronically.
Right. And even this podcast for me is a way to bump into people face to face like this and have time with them in order to get to know them. And it's become a big part of what I enjoy most of doing it, of forcing the get together. And I'll do we'll record a Zoom call if, we can't get together, but it's fun to do it in the same space.
Way more fun.
We just did headshots together. You were great. Have you done a lot of modeling and acting?
I've done a bit back in Australia. Some small stuff, some bigger stuff, like a bit of modeling, a bit of acting, a bit of extras.
Yeah.
And it's fun. I had a blast. And this was great. Like, Richard has a great team. They're really friendly and they can help get the best out of you here at RFP Media Suite 16 Studio, 176 Lakeshore Drive.
What a good guy you are, plugging away like that. I love it. I love it. But really you work with, so what you help people with is building their websites, their web presence specifically. And then you said you started getting into production, but then you ended up doing more like of the web engineering, or like, how would you say that? But now you collaborate with people like ourselves, subcontractors when need be, to help you create content, or the channels your clients create content. Is that right? Am I understanding that?
Yeah, everyone's different. So some people might say, hey, Scott, I have a new piece of software I want to incorporate into my business. I need help setting it up, and we need it to do ABC functions, and I don't just want to have it in the business, but I need to know how to use it. So I'll help them in that project. Some people, though, might have social media channels that have issues with them. Maybe they're not growing. Maybe they've been hacked, for instance, or maybe they just don't have time to manage it, but they know there's an opportunity there for their business. And that's a client that might want me to create content for them, monitor the channels, monitor inboxes, help grow it organically, because that's the best way to grow a business really is organically. Like you can spend as much as you want on paid media, but at the end of the day, the paid media is only as good as the money that keeps funding it. So that's one thing. And then, websites as well. Like some people might want a website built for, if it's a very simple website to an advanced website, it's sort of different for everyone.
Yeah.
But I try to kind of create solutions for their problem that are going to work, but also match like their budget. I won't try and say, you have a budget of this, but here's what you should do. And we can't work together. I'll be like, well, here's what you should do. And here's your budget.
How could we?
What can we do together that's going to benefit you? But I love it. I've had a lot of great experiences. Met a lot of people as well, face to face and virtually.
You did a bunch of work for the business center.
Yeah.
Right. That's helping other people get onto digital platforms.
Yeah.
Like that's really what got you sort of launched. Is that right?
Yeah, that was a great way for me to not only meet people, but also to find out problems people were having.
Yeah.
Like, it was the same problem over and over again. I don't want to do this digital stuff. I shouldn't have to, but they kind of need to adapt to what's going on with business these days. A lot of people will be finding you online. They're not just bumping into you down the street these days, unless like they're on purpose trying to find you. But I started with the business center, and that was awesome. And I kind of like took the ideas that I had learnt there, and I wanted to really think, okay, how can I provide this as a service that is going to help small businesses succeed while allowing me to have the freedom to, work a non-traditional job and travel and all these sorts of things, which is also like really valuable to me.
Yeah. If you had to give me one place to go that you've been that you think is the most memorable, top one.
Top one?
Top one spot.
Other than North Bay?
Other than North Bay, I know would be at the top of your list as it is on mine.
Absolutely.
But other than North Bay, if you had to come to one place, we should get what we should get is a sponsorship from Tourism North Bay for this little bit. I agree. I think Tourism North Bay.
Tourism North Bay, the best bay there is.
That's not north, but let's call it north.
Yes. Come to North Bay.
We're not even at the north of the lake. I don't understand.
Oh, we're kind of like
no, we're east.
Yeah, why don't
I don't know.
Let's call it East Bay.
Or
welcome to
we're
East Bay, the gateway to the north.
Apparently there was a movement to change the name at some point.
Oh.
Everybody was pissed because also North Bay, it sounds so far. Everybody, you say North Bay, they think
Up
it's
north.
Thunder Bay.
Yeah.
Thunder Bay, so far.
Thunder Bay's west of here, right?
16-hour drive west of here. Like we're talking kilometers.
Why is it called Thunder Bay?
Well, I think Thunder Bay is better than North Bay, especially if you're not in the north of the lake.
Yeah. They should call it Nipissing
Thunder's
Bay.
got there's some zip to that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nipissing Bay. But then,
Would you say Thunder Bay has a certain spark about it?
I think it's a bigger lake. I think they have a bigger town. They have a bigger lake,
Okay.
So, not that size matters. These things all the time with everything. With a lake, I mean, Nipissing's big enough.
Nipissing's pretty big. Yeah. It does the job for lakes.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know though.
One place.
Yeah. The number one place I'd probably recommend going to if you have not been is probably Italy.
Yeah.
I'd say Italy. Yeah, because Italy has something for everyone, no matter your age, and it's not crazy expensive. The food's amazing. If you love food,
Yeah.
then you'll love Italy.
They just don't like tourists that much because there's so many of us.
There's a
Wouldn't
lot.
you say?
Yeah.
Like the Italians themselves.
Well, if you're going
I mean,
to...
I love them.
Yeah.
Love the Italians. They're
Yeah.
they have incredible stuff, but they don't want more tourists. I mean, they're kind of like
No.
over us.
But tourism's a massive,
Huge.
like, economic
Yeah.
factor for them.
I'm a little bitter
so-
because I got robbed real bad in Italy.
Oh, what
Yeah,
happened?
they warned me. Pickpockets. They warned me. I thought,
Oh.
pickpockets. I'm okay. Boy, those guys are good.
What city were you in?
Rome.
Rome.
Going from Rome back to Nice, but it was on the Italian train. They hit the whole train up. These guys were pros. It was an amazing experience. Although I lost all my pictures from 3 months in Europe.
Oh,
Heartbreaker.
that
I
sucks.
know. That's why I'm a bit, you know. But Italy, you're right.
yeah.
It's incredible.
Well, I like it, like, just because, you know, the weather's great as well. And, like, everywhere has good things about it. But for, like, Italy as well, once you go there, you can kind of travel all of Europe pretty easy. Like,
Yeah.
if you land in Italy, you're only a couple of hours from Germany. You know, you can go to Austria, you can go to France pretty easy.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right next door.
And Australia's good too.
Yeah.
But it's quite
Where are you
far.
from in Australia? What's your neighborhood?
Oh.
What's your neighborhood
My
called?
neighborhood is called Terrigal.
Okay.
Do you know what Terrigal means?
No.
It means little birds.
Oh. Are there many?
There's like little seagull birds.
Oh, so you're on the ocean.
Yeah, on the ocean, about 2 hours north of Sydney.
Okay.
So, like, the province or the state is called New South Wales. So I grew up in Terrigal.
Yeah.
And then I moved to Sydney in about 2015.
Yeah.
I moved to Sydney. Because it's kind of like Canada. Like, there's a lot more opportunities, you know, in Toronto or Vancouver. So you can move where the opportunities are. And Sydney's awesome. Like, I'd recommend if anyone's, like, curious, just
I've
go.
heard such good things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beaches are great. Coffee is off its head.
Yes.
Yeah. Coffee is on point.
Coffee's so important.
It's so important.
It's so good.
You know, I used to run a coffee shop.
No.
Yeah.
Tell me about this. In hometown?
In Sydney.
Or in Sydney?
In Sydney. Oh, yeah, in Sydney. I worked in one in Terrigal as well, but in Sydney, like, I got a job doing, like, hospitality stuff, like
Yeah.
waiter kind of things. And then
Yeah.
I got another job as, like, a server. And I kind of stayed with that company for a few years and ended up getting promoted and ended up running, like, a coffee shop. And it was awesome. Like, unlimited quality espresso coffee just
Yeah.
whenever you want.
What did you learn about human nature by running a coffee shop?
Oh.
What do you learn about humans when you do that kind of work where you engage with the, customer directly?
Probably that everyone doesn't really appreciate you. No one cares. Let's be honest. No one cares about you. But that's okay.
That's
'cause,
what you learned about human
yeah,
nature.
no one cares.
Just
but-
don't get between them and their caffeine.
Yeah. But you form some good relationships with people. If you see them every day,
Yeah.
they're like a drug addict and
Sure.
they keep coming back and they want a caffeinated like drink every day. And you do make some good friendships, but at the end of the day, if the coffee is like not good or if it's late, it takes too long, or if the line's too
Anything.
long, anything's off, then the relationship's sour. So they don't
Yes.
really care about you. They just care about as long as they're
Yes.
getting like a coffee.
Yes. Now you're working business to business.
Yeah.
What did you learn about human nature working business to business? Does it translate?
They
Does the-
care.
less or more?
No, I think they care more. They care more because they have to trust you a lot more. So they're more caring about like you and want to have that relationship. Whereas where it's a customer to coffee shop relationship, the customer just wants coffee.
Yeah.
If that shop's closed, they go to another coffee shop.
Got you.
Whereas if it's like me working with a business, generally it's all about the relationship. If I'm, doing what I say I'm going to do, if they're doing what they say they're going to do, then
Yeah.
that's great. And it's not as easy just to sever ties and go to the next Scott Murphy or the next business and
Yeah.
start up again.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, people are funny though. What have you learned about people working with them in production?
I thought collaboration
Yeah,
would be easy.
right.
I've learned that it's unlikely, and actually not like there's a reason why people who just go and kind of decide what they want and figure out how to manipulate everything to get what they want, as opposed to people who try to create a context for collaboration in order to get to a certain, like I thought the collaboration would be more sort of in our nature as humans.
Okay.
And I think I'm wrong. I think it's just hard to collaborate. I think relationships, like communicating, you have to want to communicate.
Yeah.
And keep
And it
communicating.
takes two parties.
And it takes two parties, and you have to both have sort of the long-term view.
Yeah.
But as soon as one doesn't, as soon as one just needs that hit of caffeine and they're gone out the door, yeah, it's amazing how fast they take advantage of anything that's not clear. You know what I mean? Like, so it's tougher. It's much tougher than I thought to collaborate, to be honest.
Yeah.
Having said that, I think that with some of the principles I've worked with that are a bit counterintuitive in terms of being more transparent and truthful with the people who I work with, like my employees.
Right.
And employees of like people of business to business I'm working with.
Yeah.
The transparency is hard at first because it's easy to be transparent when everything's going well.
Right.
But like if there's a mistake or if there's something that isn't going as well, or like having the initiative to like bring it up and be like, hey, we talked about being transparent. Well, here's an example of a truth I have to talk about, but it's not an easy conversation. But once you get people around you used to that culture, like that way of dealing with life and your project, they love it. And I love it.
They like
because,
buy in a bit themselves.
Yeah, because the problems don't become problems. They're just like, let's address this.
Yeah.
Because we know that it won't be a reactionary top-down reaction. It's like, how do we collaborate to provide a solution?
Yeah.
And if that's always how you approach a problem, now your team actually starts trusting you.
Yeah.
And that's kind of interesting. So then collaboration happens, but it just takes longer. And it takes problems. It takes you overcoming problems to learn to institute that culture.
Yeah.
So it just
learning.
takes time. You know, so that I've learned. What would you say for somebody coming to Canada?
Yeah.
Now here, you're like in a program to like get a permanent residency.
Permanent residency, yeah.
What is the one thing that surprised you the most about Canadians relative to their reputation?
What's their reputation?
Polite.
They are pretty polite. I'll give them that. No, they're super friendly. Canadians, to me, like coming from Australia, are just so friendly to people that they don't necessarily know. But also I've found that it's kind of like a friendliness to everyone, but it's kind of hard sometimes to like crack that layer of friendliness.
It's like surface friendly.
It's like surface friendliness, yeah.
It's surface friendliness.
Yeah. And Australians aren't surface friendly.
They're all in or all out.
They're like, yeah, it's kind of like all out
Let's
until
fight.
until you're in, you're out.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. But no, I noticed that. But I think as well, it's different. Like in Toronto, it's probably different to North Bay, and then in Sydney, it's different to where I grew up, where if you're in a city environment, people don't have as much time for you. They're more willing to shut off, I think, whereas when you're in smaller populations, I think there's much more community engagement. Like you might wave at someone or say hi down the street, whereas if you're in downtown Toronto, you don't want to say hi. You just want to get to where you're going, kind of thing.
Do you see things sometimes about like the way the city works that you're like, man, I wish I could just fix that. Like we figured this out.
The way North Bay works?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
A lot. Why do you think it's so hard to like implement like obvious solutions, like find better ways?
I think there's a lot of, we're getting pretty niche into North Bay, but I think there's a lot of challenges where, you know, you've got a relatively small population, you've got kind of a lot of jobs skewed towards healthcare, education, construction, that sort of thing. But you do have like government jobs and that sort of stuff. But you've kind of got like, that's the economy. And then you have a bit of tourism as well, bit of film production. And it's like, okay, with this, there's only so much we can do. And I think without outside investment, it is like a bit slow in growth. And I've noticed like I'm here on like a immigration program. Like it's pretty easy for a Australian to get a work permit to come to Canada. And the permanent residency is even easier to attain if you're in a smaller rural community through the RNet program. So I think Canada itself is actually aware of this, and they're trying to really grow these rural communities outside of just like big cities like Ottawa. But yeah, from my perspective, North Bay really, I would love like just some more restaurants that are not like the standard
Not
American.
a diner?
Yeah, not a diner necessarily.
Yeah.
And I love diners. Like I'll go have an omelet with some grilled potatoes.
50s Diner is one of my
50s
favorites.
Diner, Hoagie's Diner, Sills, like there's diners galore, and then you've got fast food as well, and you've got like
lots of fast food.
everything. So I just love I love what all like the kind of other restaurants are doing, like Northern Himalayan Cafe.
Yes. So just more
Mr.
of that.
Ponchos, yeah, more of that. Mai Tai Palace. I'm a big foodie. Like I'd love more kind of like exotic cuisine, and there's a lot of Indian food and like East Asian food coming, which is cool. Yeah. But you know what I don't get?
What?
Is that waterfront where there's like the chief commander and there's the little ice cream shop.
Yes, there is.
It's like open like 2 days a year.
Yes.
And whenever I'm there, I'm like, oh, I'd love an ice cream, but it's like never open.
But is it freezing cold when you're there too?
I don't go there in the winter. I'm there like...
Okay. So this is during warm weather? The ice cream shop isn't
like
open?
May and...
Okay.
Now it's open. It's open like on like
for the 3 days
the summer,
it's nice.
like the main summer period.
Yeah.
But I feel like North Bay's primed for having like some seafood restaurants on that waterfront.
Yeah.
Like some really good seafood restaurants. Get yourself a nice pickerel.
Yes.
Straight out of Lake Nipissing.
Yeah.
Have it overlooking the water. So I'm just not sure why like someone
Nobody
hasn't
thought of that.
invested. Oh, I'm sure they've thought of it, but I'm sure like putting a restaurant on that, is it a pier? Would you call it a pier?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah?
I think it's a pier. I mean, that's what they are. Where we drive
What's
on
Canadian for pier?
Dock.
Dock.
The dock, the boardwalk.
Yeah.
I call it a dock, the big ass dock. The Chief's dock.
Yeah. On the Chief's dock.
Yeah.
It'd be great to have a seafood restaurant.
Yeah. I think they just did analysis and they're like redeveloping that. Who
really?
knows? Yeah.
And coffee, like on the waterfront there. There's no coffee.
Well, there's no coffee. I mean...
But there's so much coffee in North Bay, just not on the waterfront.
Well, yeah, but are you including 11 Tim Hortons in your coffee assessment?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot of Tim Hortons.
Well, I would count it as one.
Oh.
It's... Because, you know...
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you love good coffee...
Yeah.
Would Tim Hortons be defined by the world population as a coffee that...
You're doing the value play with Tim Hortons, where you get
it's the value. It's the
you
caffeine.
get a medium coffee for like $1.92, and it's not great, but it's not bad.
Oh yeah,
and you
the
know
dark
what you're
roast,
getting.
I really am happy they did a dark roast.
Yeah,
that's been a game changer.
What do you usually get? Like, what's your typical?
Dark roast regular, 1 cream, 1 sugar, dark roast.
Yeah,
I love it, but I think it's because of the caffeine.
How much caffeine's in that? Do you know?
I think Tim's is like, you know, if when they measure all the different coffee makers.
Yeah.
Tim's like their special ingredient
is extra caffeine.
Yeah. That's why we're all like lining up the drive-through for
just
that.
Just a
stuff.
bunch of caffeine addicts.
Yeah, they just figured that out. Make the flavor the same everywhere in the world, like and just give them the caffeine they want.
Yeah.
You know.
How many coffees are you drinking a day? One.
Just one.
That's responsible of you.
Well, thank you. I try to be balanced.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, how many do you drink?
Depends what's going on. Depends what time I woke up. It depends.
What time do you wake up?
If I'm being good, it's 6:30.
That's good.
If I'm being good. But some days, like especially in summer where it's like sunny till like 10 o'clock at night these days, I'm going to bed later and then I'm waking up like 7:30.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you hit the gym, or what
I try to get out and about ASAP, and I don't want to preach like like living choices and stuff, because I get so annoyed when people say, oh, you need to have an ice bath and you need to do like some infrared sauna, and then you need to go like do, I don't know, squats. But I think like for me it works out a lot better where you wake up, you just get outside and do some sort of activity because it gets you going for the day. And I'm a big believer in momentum.
Okay.
And if you start your day off with momentum, you'll get through the day with momentum.
Yeah.
If you start your day off and just like get up from bed and sit down for like a few hours, there's no momentum for the day.
Yeah.
And so like your whole day is going to be a little bit less productive. You're going to feel a little bit less energetic.
Yeah. No, I started really consistently doing consistent morning meditation practice.
Oh, yeah.
It's changed my whole day.
What time do you get up?
5. I woke up on the nose at 5 this morning. That's after a long weekend and like a good, but 5 is like when I'm good. 5 I'm getting up. 5 I'm like rolling around doing the practice. Yeah. And then I come and then I feel like that's good. That's a good day. Like, so I would say I hit that maybe 3 or 4 times a week.
Nice.
But more and more consistent with that. And I love it. And notice a huge difference in my day.
Yeah. Much more focus.
Yeah. But I got to start lifting. I'm at the age now. I just turned 44.
Yeah.
And I'm getting like, you know, like not feeling not like I got to lift something. I've been saying that for 2 years. I've been saying I got to start lifting something.
I got to lift something.
I got to lift something. These things are fading away. You know, they were never big. But we got to lift something now, Rich. And every day I consider...
Have you ever lifted anything?
Yeah. I mean, I'll go so I have to start going to the gym or something to lift something.
Right.
Right.
You can lift yourself, though, pretty
easy.
Yeah.
No, I'm into yoga and all these things, and I should be doing that. But if I don't do that, to lift something.
Right, okay.
Yeah. That's... Yeah, just to keep some muscle.
Definitely it has health benefits, I think. But it's also like... I think it just really like lowers your overall anxiety and it heightens your tolerance to deal with things.
Yeah.
So like if I call you and say, oh, Rich, you know what, I'm not coming to the podcast today, and it's like 5 minutes before the podcast. You're like, oh, crap.
Yeah.
He's out.
Yeah.
If you didn't do your meditation that day or you didn't lift anything or you just like were a potato all day, that might really like upset you and derail your day. And it might not be that big a thing, but because like you just baseline have a tolerance it might really affect you. But if you had the meditation in the day, or maybe you go to the gym in the morning or whatever, and the same thing happens, you might just breeze on through it.
Yeah.
Use that momentum. Like, all right, pivot, let's go.
And for me, it's just noticing how it changes during the day. Like, oh, I'm crabby today. Noticing, having the time to notice, or I'm stiff, or I'm feeling great.
Yeah.
Or I'm tired, and then if you have the discipline to like sit there and do it anyways.
Yeah.
And then at the end of it, you're like, oh, that really helped. Yet I resist it every morning.
Yeah. In winter, it's even harder.
Not if you live in Costa Rica.
No.
The winters, I figured it out, Scott. We're going to Costa Rica, baby.
Yeah?
Yeah, next year, let's plan something. Well,
Go to Costa Rica?
The winters. The winters here are just, you know.
Cold.
Tough. So I'm just trying to find a way around that.
Yeah.
And I found it.
It's Costa Rica.
It's called Costa Rica.
What sort of visa do you need for Costa Rica?
None. 3 months.
You just rock up.
You just walk out. You get that plane ticket direct from Toronto, 5.5 hours, no time change, so you could still work remotely.
So it's like directly south.
Yeah. Well, 2 hours. It's like a little bit west.
Oh, okay.
Like Winnipeg. Like going to Winnipeg.
Okay.
From here. Yeah. So anyways, that's another conversation though. But man, the early mornings, love it.
Yeah.
But ask me at 8 o'clock p.m. to do something. Good luck.
Like here or in Costa Rica?
Anywhere.
Like
8 p.m. That's what I'm saying. So you're like, wow, you wake up at 5. Is that
bedtime or do you have like
that's what I'm saying. Like at 8 p.m. I'm like,
really?
I gotta be up at 5 because my body wakes up at that time.
Do you find that with like the summers in Canada?
I'm totally confused.
Yeah, because you can't. It feels weird going to bed and you see like
it's very weird
kids outside playing.
Totally weird. Yeah, but I accepted I was weird a while ago.
Yeah.
I just decided to be like, you're gonna be weird sometimes in other people's eyes if you're gonna like.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But no, that's a bit early. I'm exaggerating a
Okay.
little bit,
Yeah.
but not really.
Not really.
You know, yeah. Sometimes I fake it by falling asleep in front of the TV or something. So it's like, oh, I'm just gonna watch TV.
Yeah.
Then you go up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm guilty of that as well. Yeah. Canada's cool though, man.
Yeah?
I do like it. I've
Yeah?
met a lot of great friends in Canada. Like I've been here 3.5 years ish,
Yeah,
and Canadians are awesome.
yeah.
I'd rank them in my top 2 people, top 3
who
people.
else is in there?
Well, I don't really know anyone.
No, but what other types of people do you tend to like?
Oh, well, I know a lot of US people, Australians
Americans,
and Canadians.
yeah. You like the Americans?
The Americans I do like, and I'll tell you why I like them. And I don't know why Canada doesn't like America very much.
I love Americans. I tell all my
Really?
Canadian fans, you're American. You just don't know it because you like to think there's a big difference.
Yeah.
But there's no difference. But
Yeah.
then I get them mad.
Yeah.
But I'm just getting crazy now, deep into the podcast. So I
Okay.
want to know why you like Americans.
Not all Americans, but yeah, but they have a couple good ones. I think Americans, they're definitely like passionate about things, and I think like even if they don't know what they're talking about, they're still passionate
That's
about
right.
it.
Yeah.
Which Australians are a lot like that as well. A lot of Australians don't know what we're talking about, but we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
You betcha, bud. And so I like that aspect, but I think the difference between Canadians and Americans are that Americans will be passionate about something and talk about it, and then not really listen to any thing that contradicts that. They're quite driven. Whereas on average, I'd say Canadian people have, at least the ones I've met, have an opinion, but they're not really actively like pushing it as much on people, and
Yeah.
they seem more willing to like listen to a different opinion.
Mm-hmm.
They might just be pretending and be like, I'm just going to
Like
listen
they're
because I'm a
nice.
polite
They're not really
Canadian.
nice. Exactly.
But that's my perspective. And then Australians just don't listen. So, yeah.
No?
No, there's no listening.
Australians, my experience of being with Australians, they're funny.
Thank you.
Yeah, very funny.
Thank you. But there's
But
not much
do you-
listening.
Is stand up big in Australia? Stand up comedy?
It not
Sitcoms? How do you,
Not really.
Where's the humor get expressed in Australian culture?
just living that convict lifestyle.
Just the life.
yeah.
Yeah. Anybody who went out that far, like,
Yeah, I think I think you are a bit removed from the world. Like there's
Yeah.
like 25 million people, and it's a
Yeah.
huge place that's on the southern end of Asia, and like in Australia, like a lot of people, most people speak English, and so you're kind of in your own little bubble of the world where I think like people just don't take stuff as serious, and
Yeah.
we're so removed from what's going on with like the US or Europe or
yeah.
Asia or Middle East that it's kind of like you see it on the news, but
Yeah,
it feels like
not
it's so
real.
far away. And I don't know if that's where the humor comes from, or if it's just like, what's the word? Naivety? Not naivety. Ignorance is bliss.
Yeah.
I'll say
English.
that.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks for coming in all the way to this big studio here
Yeah.
in North Bay to like teach us a thing or two.
You're
Where do people
welcome.
find you if they want to work with you?
If you want to work with me, you can just Google me, Scott Murphy. But if you want to have a chat, I do consultations and that sort of thing. Scott Murphy DTS on social media, on websites. It's D for digital, T for technology, S for specialist. Don't ask me why I got that domain, but I did.
And we're sticking with it.
And we're sticking with it, baby. Yeah.
Give Scott a call, see what he's up to. Please give us a like, subscribe, message,
Yes.
tell us what you think. Get
Yes.
mad about our opinion.
Tell
we
us your
both-
favorite coffee shop and why.
favorite coffee shop and why.
Yeah.
Anywhere in the world.
Anywhere in the world. Doesn't have to be Canada. Doesn't have to be Australia.
That's right.
Can be downtown Costa Rica.
Downtown Costa Rica. Right in the downtown
What's
of
the
the
capital of
country.
Costa Rica?
San Jose.
Okay, downtown San
San
Jose.
Jose. Yeah. Yeah. So check it out. Thanks for checking it out. Bye for now, guys. Okay. Thanks. We got through it.
We did it.
We didn't trip up too bad.
No.
Adam, we okay? Yeah. Okay. Adam says, God. Thanks for
Cool.
doing this, man. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Ciao for now, everyone.